Breakfast, I am making my family a big pot of apple pie oats. I'm also going to have some egg whites with an egg this morning and some blueberries on the side. And my family's going to have something similar as well. At lunchtime, we stopped in at a San Salvador restaurant. And they sold pupusas there, and those were very good. So that's Hi guys, I'm going to be making a quick little soup here. It's something I actually saw online, just kind of like an Italian wedding soup. And I'm going to be making my own meatballs. I have a pound of ground beef, a quarter cup of Parmesan cheese, a half a cup of breadcrumbs. I think it was a teaspoon of salt. And he wanted me to put, the person who made the recipe wanted me to use fresh parsley in the meatballs. I don't have any because last time I bought it was before I had surgery, and everything green in the fridge has turned brown. So I have no more parsley, so no parsley in the meatballs. I also need some carrots. He said 2, I'm using 4 because we love carrots. And I'm going to be using 2 or 3 cloves of garlic. I'm going to be using 1 chopped onion, a couple of bay leaves, probably a couple of these boxes of chicken broth. These are very low fat and reduced sodium. And I'm going to be using some orzo. I'm not quite sure how much, maybe about a cup. And I'm going to be cooking it in that pan right over there. So let me get started making the meatballs. Oh, and then before everything's done, I add in some spinach. And I'm making that for the guys because they are off right now somewhere else, so it'll be ready for them when they come home. All right, so you can't see what I'm doing, but I thought maybe if you wanted to hang out, we could hang out while I cooked and we could talk. So I'm just mixing the ground beef and the Parmesan here, and now I'm going to add in the breadcrumbs. And I know I should be resting. This is the 2nd week after surgery. I have been resting a long time today, and now I'm starting to feel a little bit better and a little bit ready to move about a bit. And when I get tired, I stop. Here's my half a cup of breadcrumbs. And I just sit down and I put my feet up and I rest. And it's been the hardest thing. There goes the salt. It's been the hardest thing to do is to just not do anything. Now I'm going to get my hands in here and, mix it up. That way I could make little meatballs. So, actually, I think I should probably get a plate. So, we redid the kitchen, and I will talk to you about that on my other channel, which is Sweetwater Place. I have to do a before and after makeover for the kitchen. We still have a couple of things where we went through Home Depot, and there's a couple things they still have not fixed, and so we're still waiting for them to get those done. We started in, I want to say May. We were hoping to get it done before the summer, and they told us that, we did like a facelift for our kitchen, and we didn't do like a huge amount of stuff. We just wanted to redo some things, and so we did like cabinet resurfacing, put in a couple of new cabinets. They changed the panels that were on the Sub-Zero fridge, stuff like that, and changed the countertops as well. And we did a little bit of backsplash as well. It's just that it was just like pulling teeth to get it done. And here we are in October, and it's actually not complete yet. So that's really interesting. But this doesn't seem to mix very well. It doesn't really want to mix very well. Now, the recipe didn't say to actually add like an egg to the hamburger meat for the meatballs. And I think that's kind of odd because usually you have an egg for a binder to keep it together. Okay, so the recipe said that I could get about 20 little meatballs. I don't know. I mean, if I make them this small and I have this much, yeah, I could probably get 20 of them. Okay, so anyway, I was watching some videos about people talking about, how high utility bills are nowadays. And I wanted to talk about that because it's not something that we really talk about usually. And I don't like talking about money, all the time. But I have just never, ever seen the prices go up on essentials and utilities that I have seen over this past year. And I don't know if it's like that where you're from, but I'm in Nevada, and so obviously, one of the things that's going to really go up is water. And water, I can remember, you're not going to believe this, but I can remember we've been here, I want to say over 30 years we've lived in Nevada, and I can remember when it was like $12 a month for water, no joke. And then I remember being kind of surprised because it went up to like 20 something dollars per month for water. And now, you guys, you would not believe what it is now. It is now about, it's been over $500 a month for water here this year, and which is crazy, horrendous. And that's just, using sprinklers to water your lawn on the days that you're allotted to water. Yes, we have a pool, so we have to keep it covered. Otherwise, if it dries out and evaporates, then of course it'll, dump in some new water, and so then we'll get charged for that. And there's certain times a day when it's more expensive to use the water. So if you have a leak, which we've had, so you have a leak, you're unfortunate enough to have a leak that actually leaks at all hours and you don't know it yet, then you're going to be charged, those extra fees and those extra charges for those off-peak hours. And in fact, one of the leaks, we were going around here going crazy, fixing every leak that we could find in the landscape. We were looking for things, telling the kids, tell us if you see anything leaking, and then fixing everything we could. We took out our reverse osmosis from the inside of the house because we found out that one of them, we had them under several sinks, but we found out one of them had a leak not under the sink, so we didn't know that it was leaking until we had some work done on the sink, and we found out that there was a leak from the reverse osmosis going into the drain. So we never would have known had we not been doing a little bit of work in there. So we took out the reverse osmosis because we didn't want a chance, having a leak and not knowing about it. So it has just been horrendous trying to get the water situation under control and keep that as cheap as possible. But the water district, how they have, I'm going to do a little bit of a rant here. There's like a water box out front in front of the house. And only they have access to that, really. They should be the only ones that go in there. So they came in and they were working out there, the water district. And they went down there and they actually broke a pipe and they caused a leak. And we didn't know that this was happening for the longest time. And so I am getting tired. Right after I put this soup on, I'm going to have to go lay down. We didn't know for about 2 or 3 months of, a leak going on and being charged like an excessive amount for it. And then we found, my husband looked in the box and he said, this is where they were, and they busted the pipe. So we called them up and said, can you come and look at the pipe here? You guys were out here and you actually broke our pipe, so you should be responsible for the leak. And we've been paying over and above the amount of money due for that leak. And they came out and they said, well, we'll tell you whether or not we think we are responsible for it or not after we come out. So they sent somebody out and they looked at it, and it was not our fault. It was them indeed who broke it. And they said, no, we deemed that it's your responsibility to fix it, and we're not going to do it. So we paid hundreds of dollars for a plumber to come out and take care of it, and that was it. So incredible. But anyway, that was how that went. So let me turn this on. I'm going to put a little bit of oil in the pan. All right, I'm just going to put a little bit of oil at the bottom of this pan here. I'm using this nice Calorie unfiltered extra virgin olive oil, and I'm going to heat that up. This was one of my favorite pans. My sister gave it to me, and my husband is so sweet. He was making me something one night, and he took a steel utensil and scratched it up. So he didn't mean to do it. He said, I'll buy you another one, but I still like this pan. But anyway, that's what happened to it. Okay, so I'm going to put these meatballs in, and I'm just going to move them around and brown them before I add the rest of the soup ingredients. And then hopefully it'll be done before the guys come back. All right, I'm going to be busy here chopping up onions and carrots. All right, so that's the water district. And let's look at the electricity. Power has also exploded here in Nevada, and that's gone crazy. And what we did is we ended up a few summers ago, before summer, I was in Costco and I saw this representative for a solar company, and they approached me, and we had been talking about solar. So they said, are you interested? And I said, well, yeah, definitely. And they were surprised, but we got it all set up. They came to our house and we got it all set up. So we are covered by solar, plus we have the backup battery. So, it charges during the day, and if there's a blackout, it kicks on to the battery. And so right now, the energy bills in town are quite high for people. So somebody who was used to getting a bill in the summer, summertime is really heavy in Nevada. So that's like the time you use your AC a lot. Okay, so the bills can be quite high. So normally if a person was looking at something like a $300 bill during the summer, which is quite high, now they're looking at $600 or $700 a month, which is just bizarre. But what's happened because of us doing solar, thank goodness, our bills are like $13 a month. I think one month it was like $5. And then this last time I was surprised because it went up to 24. And I thought, wow, if it goes up, that might mean that we have some panels out. And so my husband called the company and they said, no, you just used an unbelievably high amount. So, you didn't send back as much energy to us using the panels as you normally have in the past. But I'm thinking, without the solar, if it was water and solar together that were just astronomically high, I don't know how people are doing it. I really don't know. It's just phenomenal. Let me stir the meatballs. So I thought that was just really weird. I don't usually talk to people about that, but I am hoping that when wintertime comes, I'll put garlic in the soup, but I won't put garlic powder ever in these are pretty big garlic cloves. I think I'll just I won't use as many as I thought. Because Honey does not like garlic in the meat. And it goes back to when he was younger and he was living at home, and his dad he would always put a lot of garlic in the meatloaf. And my husband asked him, very nicely, if he would not put garlic in his. And his dad took, heavy offense at that. And I guess it was one of those moments, one of those scarring moments. So now that Honey has the choice, he's like, I never want garlic powder in ground beef ever. So I don't put it in there because he deserves not to have it in there if he doesn't want it. Okay. So anyway, I don't know how the utilities are in your state, or if I think it's just like that all over right now. It's just crazy right now. And groceries are phenomenal, right? Those have gone up. Goodness, I don't know when I noticed that my bill had doubled. I want to say it was about a year ago, but it might be more than that. When I noticed that, I put so much a week aside for groceries, and then I realized one day that I needed double that. That was interesting. All right, let me stir the meatball. All right, I've got the onions and garlic and carrots. And my meatballs are browned, but they're not cooked all the way. So I'm just going to stir that a second. And then I'm going to add in my chicken broth. I want this to cook before they come back home. Ooh, I'm going to need another box. All right, let me put this in there. And the dogs are outside barking because they're saying it's their dinner time too. They want to come in here. Okay, so I'm going to cook this on medium-high heat. And I'm going to stick 2 bay leaves in here. No, 3 bay leaves, I think is what it was. And let me double check how much orzo is supposed to go in here. All right, the recipe says 1 cup of orzo, and it says after cooking this for 15 minutes to put the orzo in, but I don't want to wait on the orzo because my guys are going to come back home and they're going to be hungry, and I like it when my orzo gets really big and fat, so I don't mind it overcooking a little bit. So I am going to cook this up. I think maybe I'll cover it and cook it for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then I'll check it. That looks good, doesn't it? That's going to be great with the spinach in it. All right, the recipe says 1 bag of baby spinach or escarole to be added to the soup when it's time. And I don't know if my kids are going to go for 1 whole bag. So I'm thinking I'll add half a bag, see what it looks like. I know spinach cooks down quite a bit. If there's room, I'll put the whole bag in. The picture on the recipe makes the soup look rather yellow, and I like that look, but this one doesn't look very yellow, and I'm wondering if maybe I should add just a little bit of turmeric to give it that nice golden color, and turmeric's good for you anyway, so maybe I'll just put a teaspoon or so of turmeric in here and see what that does. And I think that did it. See that goldenish color? That's what I wanted. I wanted that nice yellowy look to it. All right, guys. I need to sit down. Sorry about the lighting. I'm wore out just from making soup. Goodness me. My steps lately have been under 5,000 per day, so they've been like 3,500. I think one day I accidentally got I don't know how I did it, but it was like 8,000 steps, and I was trying to walk, for like 15 minutes at a time throughout the day, and I don't know how that happened, but I can't bring it up to that, and it's really hard. I think, getting over surgery, it's like I used to be 15,000 steps was my goal, and now I can get a third of that, and it's so frustrating, but I know it's important. And a lot of you guys are telling me to rest, and I appreciate that. I am doing my best. I am really doing my best. So anyway, talking about, let me put another pillow up here. So talking about, utilities and things like that. When Honey and I were growing up, we both came from homes that were struggling at some point or another. And I remember utilities being like a huge deal sometimes, and my parents had moved us from the city, and we were kind of spoiled in the city. I grew up in the Bay Area in San Jose, California. And then they bought a place out in the middle of nowhere in the Central Valley in California. And that's where I ended up meeting my husband. And my parents invested in a restaurant and some land. And, even though it was really nice to live out there in the country in the middle of nowhere, financially, our life kind of fell apart. And we went through some really hard times. And I remember one of the most difficult summers when the utilities were just, it was so much. I remember they tried to keep, the water, we actually had a well. Come to find out, we had a well. Otherwise, I think that would have got shut off at some point. But we had gas, that was shut off a lot. Electricity, that was shut off a lot. So there were cold baths and cold, or cold showers. And electricity, there were times where we just didn't have it. There were certainly a lot of times where we didn't have the telephone because the telephone had been shut off. And it was during that very difficult summer. And that really made an impact on me, that I'm really aware about how hard utilities can really zap people sometimes, and now the fact that they're going up so high. I mean, I'm grateful that we are blessed that we can pay these bills, you know what I mean? But there are a lot of people who really can't. And it just kind of comes out of nowhere, and they have to choose whether to heat or eat, right? Heat their house, or here comes winter, or eat for the week, and it can be a real struggle. So my prayers are with people who are going through that kind of a struggle, because it is a struggle out there. But anyway, yeah, hubby had some experiences too growing up. So we have a lot of shared experiences, from it's funny because we grew up in two totally different places and we have a lot of differences, but we have so many similarities growing up. It was almost like we were living parallel lives in different cities, and we were just kind of like destined to come together and, yeah, get together and get married and be one day. So anyway, you guys, I will show you when the soup is done and I put the spinach in, but I wanted to thank you for hanging out with me tonight. I'm sorry I look like this, but I am extremely tired. But I did want to spend some time with you. So let me know if you want to cook with me again and we can talk and just converse and, shoot the breeze. And I'll do it again. All right, I'll see you later. I just wanted to show you how this cooked up. I did have to add a little bit more chicken broth in because the orzo had, fluffed up so fat. But it is nice, just the way I like it. So now I'm going to add in the spinach and see how much of it I can get in there. All right, I got about 3/4 of a bag in here, and I think that's really enough. What do you guys think? It tastes good. It looks great. I think this is going to be a nice welcoming soup for when the guys come home. All right, guys, thanks for hanging with me. I'll see you later.